Hi guys, and welcome to the opening video for a new section for the Further Maths 3 and 4 course over here in Australia. Now don't worry about it if you are watching from other countries. This video is as much for you as anything if you're looking for a review of parallel lines. Now it is great having you here. I'm Darren Maths Guru. If you are new to my channel, welcome. If you can do me the honor of clicking in that bottom corner the doohickey to subscribe. Subscribers literally tell me that you're out there watching and mean that I'm not sitting in here talking to myself. If you haven't already found it, mathsguru.com has this video, downloadable nights, time-coded section videos. It'll have exam questions, VCAR questions, the works that I cannot put over here on YouTube. Head on over there, the link is above. Now, as I tend to do, I always start with what I'd like you to be able to achieve by the end of this lesson. And as this is a review, I'm very much hoping you'll find out what alternate angles are, corresponding angles, co-interior, and all the things that are listed above me. And I also like to start with a bit of a recap of learning, okay? So if you're new to these videos, at least you can find out what the previous ones were to try and work out whether you want to watch them again. So as it's the first module, pretty much there's going to be new stuff. If you can't remember that we were doing this from sort of year 8 and year 9 onwards, again, don't worry about it. If you can't remember it, that's the point of this video. Now, I always like to have a bit of a strange approach to mathematics. I do things slightly left field. And so in this situation, I'm going to call it the Maths Guru approach. And you can probably see those 4 rather large letters, FUZX, which I call FUZX. Yes, I'm not trying to be rude, and I do promise you that they actually stand for something. And they help me remember which of the rules for parallel lines we're going to deal with. I suppose the first thing is, though, let's just make sure that we are aware that parallel lines are expressed like that. They will have 2 lines with arrows pointing either to the left or to the right. And what that means is there are 2 lines there with exactly the same gradient, don't worry about that so much, that will never, ever, ever meet. And for maths, what we tend to like to do is we tend to like to put lines through them and then start talking about angles in corners and all sorts of exciting stuff, which is what this video is about. So parallel lines, there are a couple of parallel lines, but inside those parallel lines, there are in fact 4 different rules to help us find any of the angles that we need to. Okay, so let's start with the easier one here, the X rule. Now, you cannot use my FUZX in a further maths exam. I'm really, really sorry. I'd love for the exam board to suddenly try and say, this year we're going to involve the use of FUZX, but we have to remember that the X rule is called the vertically opposite rule. Now, why do we call it the X rule? Because funnily enough, here are some X's. Now you're going to turn around and say to me, well, they aren't parallel lines. I know, but I'm going to show you some X's in some parallel lines in just a moment. But what is important to know is that angles that are vertically opposite, and by that I mean this angle here and this angle here, are exactly the same size. Now what that also suggests is that this angle here and that this angle here are also exactly the same size. So to make that sort of more formal, the dot is equal to the dot in size and the square is equal to the square in size. So if I had this here and I told you that that was 32 degrees, I can actually now find all of the other angles here. So first things first, I now know that let's write that down at angle A. So A now must be 32 degrees because of the vertically opposite rule. But I suppose the question I'm going to ask you is, can I now find the angle B and B? Well, there are 2 ways of doing this. First things first is to know that we know that angles all the way around a point, and this thing here is a point, add up to 360 degrees. And so I could turn around and say, well, 360 degrees minus 32 will give me 296 degrees. Well, that's the size of both B and B added together. So I would then need to divide that by 2, which would give me 148 degrees. That's certainly one way of doing it. I tend to think that's really quite challenging. What I like to do is remember that, in fact, I have a straight line. That is a straight line. And what do I know about angles on a straight line? They add up to, oh yes, 180 degrees. So actually, angle B is simply equal to 180 degrees minus 32 degrees, which gives me 148 degrees. Same answer, probably a slightly nicer way of doing it. So there is my X rule. We're done. What about the next one? Let's have a look at this one here, the U rule. And again, you're going to turn around and say, where is the U? Well, what I do is this. There is a line.